The Liar. Part 2. The Bunker. "I can get it open," Felspring said, as Felwinter pried open 2 rusted metal doors with his hands. "You don't have to do that." The metal screamed as Felwinter ripped the 2 doors back. They were deep underground in a bunker Felspring had struggled for 6 days to locate. Now that they'd found it, Felwinter realized he didn't really know what they were looking for. "I don't know very much about Rasputin," Felspring said, floating cautiously beside him. "I thought he was deactivated, or destroyed in a collapse." Felwinter walked forward. The room was like a time capsule, untouched, preserved, as if technicians might walk in any moment to work the control panels lining the walls. It reminded him of the library where he'd woken up, just in its complexity and maybe beauty. Was this beautiful? He wasn't sure.
"So, why would a Warmind be after us?"
Felwinter muttered. Felspring hovered to examine a flat, black surface on one of the control panels. "I don't know." Felwinter came up beside her. He hesitated, and then reached to touch the shiny, blank surface of the panel. It blinked to life under his hand, bright code and controls glowing orange, rearranging themselves as he dragged his finger across them. "How did you do that?" Felspring whispered. Felwinter shook his head. He touched another blank panel, and lights came on all over the bunker, waking it up.
"I don't know,"
he said. The Mountain. Warsats and combat frames found Felwinter and Felspring everywhere they went. They weighed the pros and cons and decided that a fortified home base was safer than picking a new ramshackle camp every time they wanted to rest. It was risky, but so was everything. So Felwinter climbed a mountain. At the top of it was a pre-Golden Age observatory they'd found in a map database in a Seraph bunker. It was the perfect place to hide. It had a 360-degree view of the surrounding area, existing structures that could be fortified, a mountain they could burrow into and hide themselves beneath thousands of tons of rock. "He won't find you up here," Felspring said. "Or, at the very least, you'll see him coming." She sounded almost hopeful. "Maybe we could finally stop running." Felwinter looked warily at the sky and said nothing. The only problem with the mountain was that it was occupied. A warlord named Castor had claimed it and the village at the mountain's base. But Felwinter knew that everyone had a price, and he called on Castor to negotiate. Warlords, he'd learned, were poor negotiators. They were almost never willing to give ground. In the end, Felwinter shot Castor's ghost and pushed him off the side of the mountain. A month later, during a routine patrol of the mountain's perimeter, Felwinter found a woman sitting on a rock ledge halfway down the mountain. Beside her, there was a wooden crate of sad-looking crops, and another heavy with ammunition. She stood up when he arrived. Felwinter exchanged a look with Felspring, then asked the woman,
"Who are you?"
"My name's Arthi," she said. "You killed Lord Castor, didn't you?"
"Yes."
"So you're the Lord of the Mountain now."
"It's my mountain,"
Felwinter said.
"But I'm no warlord."
Arthi studied him. She had a thin, weathered face and calculating brown eyes. "My village is down there," she pointed down the mountain. "We need protection. That was Castor. Now, it's you." She pointed to the crates, as if she were explaining something to a very simple child. "This is our payment." Felwinter looked at her, then at the crates, then said again, slowly,
"I'm no warlord, and I don't need your food."
Arthi's expression was as blank and unreadable as his own. I'll be back next month. The Warlord. True to her promise, Arthi came back the next month with 2 more crates. This time, both were ammunition. She sat next to them, hugging her knees for warmth and looking out at the valley below until Felwinter came by to retrieve it. "I thought this might be more useful to you," she said, "since you don't want food." Felwinter looked at her, took the crates, and then went back up the mountain. The month after that, she brought salvaged weapon parts. When Felwinter came to retrieve them, she watched him until he turned to go and then said, "I know about you, you know." When he turned around to look at her, she lifted her chin. "They call you Lord Felwinter. I hear you've killed more warlords than Castor, over old technology from the time before the collapse."
Not a warlord,
Felwinter murmured, hiking onward. Arthi watched him, and then called to his back. "Just because you say that doesn't make it true." She came back the next month, and the next month, and the next. They spoke a little more every time, about life in the village, about what they imagined the time before the collapse was like, about the future. The 7th time he saw her, he lingered a little while. Together, they looked out over the valley beyond the mountain. "You could really help us," Arthi said softly. "All those Golden Age technologies you know so much about. We could live a totally different life." Felwinter stood completely still, looking out over the horizon.
I can't,
he said. She looked at him, trying to read his expression, and then looked sharply away. They stood in silence for a while. "You know," she said, pointing down the mountain, "warlords have been crashing through our village for ages. Stepping on us, tearing up everything we plant, tearing down everything we build."
I'm not a warlord,
Felwinter said quietly. "Sure," she said, "but you're like them. You get 1,000 second chances. You get to live in a big fortress on top of a mountain. What do you think it's like for us? What do you think it's like to have the sky constantly falling down on you?" Felwinter stared at her. Arthi crossed her arms. "It must be nice," she said. Her expression softened, not for him, but for herself. For her people. "Must be nice to not have to worry." The next month, Arthi didn't come to meet him, nor the month after that. The Search. "Don't understand what you hope to get out of this," Felspring said stiffly, as Felwinter searched a Seraph bunker. Golden Age weapons of every shape and size lined the walls. Some of them were clearly non-functional from age and disuse. Others looked pristine, save for the dust. "If anything," she went on, "you're just putting us back on his radar. When we stayed on the mountain, he stopped bothering us." When Felwinter didn't reply, Felspring bunched her shell and asked more pointedly, "Is this really because of what she said?" Felwinter picked up one of the weapons, a massive grenade launcher.
Who?
Felspring did an incredulous spin.
Who?
She said mockingly.
Who?
Felwinter glanced at her, then back at the grenade launcher. He held it up as if he were aiming it at the wall, and then set it aside and went to pick up a scout rifle, examining its scope. For a while, Felspring just watched him. Eventually, she flew to his side again and said, "This isn't what they need, you know." When he paused to look at her, she went on. "Weapons. There's enough of that out there already." His expression remained uncomprehending, and Felspring sighed. "The Golden Age was a time of peace and prosperity."
Right,
Felwinter said. "They built things, they didn't tear them down." At his continued silence, Felspring floated around to his other side. "Think about it, it was the greatest expansion in humanity's history. Cities sprung up like weeds. Impressive cities, and it all happened really fast. She paused. Huh. Actually, I have no idea how they did that. Felwinter stared at the scout rifle in his hands.
Labor frames?
Sure, but even that wouldn't have been enough. It wouldn't have helped them terraform Titan on their own. They must have had some kind of tech, something to help them build. Felwinter nodded and set down the scout rifle.
So where is that technology?
Felspring floated over to one of the computer terminals, inspecting the glowing controls. That's what I'm wondering too. Siddhartha Golem.
Amygdala votive grasp. AI com Rasputin. Assets Golem. Interrogative. Immediate action order. This is a subtle assets imperative. No human review. No AI com review. Secure. Autark. Initiate Siddhartha Golem upload at Deepstone Crypt to assess integrity of mortal structures. Stand by for criteria. Under passage, obsolescence, sidereal. If Nano Sonder is ivory. If Hammurabi is active and passes human review under context Turing. If Duryodhana is in failure and passes AI com review under context IDIS, set spectrum certification to Smaragdine. Else, stand by for contingent action order. Set spectrum certification to Amarantine. Initiate human review unless tactical morality is built at midnight. Experience is the teacher of all things. Stop, stop, stop. Coronary mirror shear. AI com Rasputin. Assets, force com. Imperative. Immediate action order. Siddhartha Golem detected in sector. Reactivation conditions unknown. Siddhartha Golem identified with positive energy signature. Automated remote asset seizure failed. Automated remote injection of wetware payload helmet failed. Automated remote injection of hardware payload catacomb failed. I am invoking Absalom Knife. Upon execution, all affected assets resume long hold at midnight exigent. And weep the more, because I weep in vain. Stop, stop, stop.
Thank you for joining me today, Guardian. Today we continue the story of Felwinter, the Dark Horse of the Iron Lords. The Lyre Part 3 should be released fairly soon, and there isn't very much left in the lore book, so I'm pretty sure that will be the conclusion to the story. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and the best way to let me know that you enjoy my content is to leave a like on the video or a comment down below. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed the video.